There's two things you need to do to build a brand in any niche. It's be consistent and show up every week and be annoying and show up on people's timelines. And also you need to be in the driver's seat and not wait for other people to give you opportunities. Like you have to create them. As difficult as that is, it's the only way. Like it is, in my opinion, the only way.
Hey guys, welcome back to Rave Culture Cast. I am so excited to have these two guests on today to really share a ton of knowledge with you guys and tips and advice. So this dynamic duo of talent and tenacity, they are shining examples of hard work really pays off. So I'm super excited to welcome Olivia Mancuso, host of the Elevated Frequencies podcast, marketing expert, business and branding strategist for DJs, and Matt Sherman, aka Sherm, DJ producer, Hood Politics A&R, and host of Sherm in the Booth. You might recognize him. He was on the podcast previously, but they are about to embark on a very big venture this fall, hosting a brand new conference called Chicago Music Nexus that is happening on November 23rd. We're going to get into all the details today, but Olivia and Sherm, welcome to Rave Culture Cast.
Woo! That was such a good intro. Wow.
Yeah, I need like air horns.
3 podcasters here. I love it. Let me just say before anything else, Emma, you are the first person that I ever talked to in this industry and asked for advice. So I just want to give props to you because I credit a lot of my success in this industry to you. So thank you for being
so
the blueprint.
Awesome.
Dude, I love that.
Oh
Let
my
me give
gosh.
them their flowers too, because like I was doing Sherm in the Booth
Thanks,
for
guys.
so long, which felt like a very lonely thing. You know, I talked to a lot of the artists, but I was always like, where are these other podcasters that are talking about the dance music space and interviewing artists? And I discover Emma, this social media savant who has such an authentic brand and is so good at building her community, and the interviews that she was doing were amazing. I was like, I'm getting this girl on my podcast. And we had such a good time, immediate connection. Unfortunately, still never met in person, but that will happen soon, I'm sure. But you deserve all the love in the world, Emma. Like, props to you for, I mean, we're all still here doing this crazy thing we call the music industry, but you're killing it. So it's good to be here with you.
Oh, that's so cool. I didn't know that, Olivia. That's awesome. Yeah, I was going to say that's like my first memory. We like had a little coaching call together and it was so cool, but that's like my biggest thing. And I want to get into that with you guys today. Just totally agree. This can feel like a very solo effort, like you're doing this alone and there aren't that many resources. So I think we all are big believers and like there's plenty of, you know, stuff to go around the table for everybody. So it's been so nice to connect with you both. And I totally agree. Here we are 2 years later, very different points in our lives, which is cool. Yeah. So many exciting things happening. You were about to get married, Sherm, the last time I talked to you.
Holy shit.
It was like,
yeah,
it was right before. Yeah. Like there was a lot going on. So I kind of wanted to we'll start there. Like, what have you been up to the last few years? You're coming off of a big weekend. Labor Day weekend was a big weekend for you. So catch us up. Yeah. What's going on in your life?
That's crazy, Emma. Oh my gosh, it has been too long. It's crazy how much time can go in between, like building up. Olivia knows this too, and you guys both know this. Mm-hmm. Like the time when you get engaged to when you get married is like the longest period of time, but also like the quickest period of time. And then you're married and it's like your year anniversary. And we just celebrated our 2-year anniversary. I'm like, what is going on? Like it's been 2 years, but life is so good. Never been happier, honestly. Have a beautiful life with my beautiful wife and a beautiful dog named Perry. She might pay us a visit here when she hears me doing podcasts. To knock on the door. So life is so good. Never doing better on my mental health. I'm feeling very locked in and connected to my why, as we say sometimes. It's been really a pleasure working closely with Olivia, who's become a good friend and just a partner in the music industry. So we help keep each other grounded on crazy days. You should have heard our conversation right before this. We're like gas each other up. And we're like, all right, calm down a little bit. And we're like, no. I like that. But, music's been going great. Just played the biggest show of my life at North Coast, the main stage. It was unbelievable. 5 times at North Coast.
Congrats.
So
that's crazy.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a really cool moment for me. My mom was there. My brother was there. A bunch of good friends. It was really cool. Olivia's brother, Prapa, who I believe is like one of the best producers literally ever. He was with us all day too, and he killed his set. So it was so much fun.
Such a small scene. Like a family outing. Yeah, for sure. I mean, can you? Yeah, go ahead.
So like I was thinking about it today, Olivia, and this is gonna be funny for you, Emma, because we're gonna probably have some side conversations.
Yep.
But like I'm telling you, like people don't know that they're related sometimes, even though they have like they're best friends and they have a lot of similarities. But like 10 years from now, when you guys are both legends in your own regard, you guys are gonna be those people like, oh, they're siblings? No way.
Thank you. I mean, I am so inspired by my brother, and he's been a big, we'll get into Nexus, but he has been a huge asset in helping us bring the brand to life. And I just love that he gets to do shows with Sherm and work on the Hood Politics label. It's such a natural fit. So for all of us to come together in this way is just really cool. And it's a testament to just what we were talking about in the first 5 minutes, the power of community, helping each other out. Like we all have complementary skill sets. All three of us here are podcasters in the dance music industry, but we all touch on slightly different topics and we all serve our audiences in unique ways. And I just love that, we have like this little cohort here, and Aid, your friend Aid, who I just got to meet at ARC, like we all help each other out and support each other. And it's just like the coolest shit ever.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. I'm glad you said good, that you're feeling good all around. Mental health, like all that is so important. So it's just really, really cool to see where you're at. And I mean, how long has the podcast been around for you? Because it's been a while for you, Sherm, right?
Yeah. We just dropped episode 236. Actually, I
love that.
Once again, time moves so fast. This Friday, is the 8-year anniversary of Sherm in the Booth.
Wow. Whoa. Congrats. That's great. It goes fast, right? That's crazy.
Yeah, it does. It does. It feels like I just did like my 5-year thank you video or whatever. And now I think what I'm going to do, and I did this for episode 100 and 200, I think, which is sometimes when I say that, like, it's like, yeah, episode 236, like, you're like, wow, that seems like a lot. I'm like, no, it's not. And then I'm like, wait, episode 100, episode 200, like, it's a lot of episodes. I asked people, what do they want to ask me? And then I interviewed myself as this alter ego of this guy named Ramon. And he's not Latino at all. In fact, the accent is so bad, but people really liked it. So I think I'm going to do it again. For anybody listening, yeah, I'm gonna share that soon. So I'm excited to do that. It's crazy.
That's so fucking funny.
I always say the podcast is the greatest gift I've given myself. It started off as just a great way to network with other people in the dance music community, especially in Chicago, trying to get gigs, meet other DJs, producers, talent buyers, whatever it is. And now it's become what I call as like the greatest friendship tool. I get this one-on-one conversation, and even as someone who loves big groups and energy, I'm just fascinated with one-on-one conversation and really digging into people's experiences. And I think it's helped me in my career in a lot of unexpected ways. And it's just been a really, really great way for me to like grow as a person. It's like, I think you do a podcast, you make music, you do anything, you want to grow, right? And you expect the growth to be from numbers or from popularity or fame or whatever it is. But really what I realize is it's in here. I've been growing as a person, as an interviewer, as just like someone in the scene who cares. So it's been really cool for me to sort of open my eyes to that over the past 6 months of like, I'm doing something for me when for a while it felt like I was doing it for everybody else. And it certainly is something that I think is a two-way street. I do get to give people a platform. I do get to tell their story. This light is hilarious. I feel like I'm going to do
with your like mysterious
sunset.
I know. Look at that. Yeah. I didn't put the blind down far enough. I have the most beautiful sunset here, but
You're good. If you need to change anything, feel free. But no, I love that story, and it does go really fast. And I think there's a common thread here, which I love to see, about like wanting to give back. And for you, Olivia, like I think you just crossed your 1-year anniversary. Right? Like I feel like what you've already accomplished with the podcast is awesome. And I have to say, one of my favorite episodes recently was the Mikey Lyon one. I just really loved his perspective on the festival scene. It was super interesting. But I do want to ask you a little bit about your background too, because you were new to Rave Culture Cast. So for anybody who isn't familiar with you or your background, like, can you just tell us a little bit about who you are, what you're passionate about, maybe a little bit about what Elevated Frequencies is about, and just introduce yourself to the fam.
Yeah. Thank you for this opportunity, because I mean, like you're your audience loves you so much, and I just love watching you work, and like I take so much inspiration from you. Again, I just have to say
Thank
that.
you.
So yeah, so the long story short was I was a news reporter for 5 years. I hated it. I hated covering crime, politics, and horrible things every day. And so I left the business and got into the marketing world, and I'm like, shit, I hate this too because it's boring. And so, in December of 2021, I decided to quit my full time job and go all in on like doing my own thing. And I didn't really know what that meant, but I knew that I had like this specific skill set that didn't fit into like a corporate box. And so I needed to build a career around what I was good at, not like trying to shove a square peg into a circle hole. And so that's when I kind of embarked on like this freelance journey of like, how can I provide brand strategies and content creation and, doing video work for brands as an influencer, even just making website videos. And I started to kind of do it on a freelance basis. And then I was like, all right, it's time to scale. And I scaled very quickly to where I kind of created this, I did create this consulting firm. At that point, it was like June of 2022, and I had seen an interview randomly with Boris Brejcha. Like it was like an interview in German, and I was like, why am I not doing this? Like I've been in the dance music scene as a fan since I was like 13, and I love interviewing and I miss it. That's the only part of news that I miss. And so I created like a audition for a job that I didn't even know existed. And I sent it to a generic email at Insomniac. And I'm like, hey, what's like, if you ever need someone to do interviews, here's my background, here's my credentials.
Oh, it's way more professional than that.
It was. But it was basically like, like if you're ever looking for someone like this, I'm, consider me.
I'm a girl.
And to my surprise, they got back to me very quickly. We made it happen. That's when I did EDC, following in your footsteps, as I later found out. And I knew that if I wanted to have longevity in this and like build relevance in this scene, I was going to have to do something myself, because there's two things you need to do to build a brand in any niche. It's be consistent and show up every week and be annoying and show up on people's timelines. And also you need to be in the driver's seat and not wait for other people to give you opportunities. Like you have to create them. As difficult as that is, it's the only way. Like it is, in my opinion, the only way. And so that's when I embarked on doing elevated frequencies, and I was able to use like the street cred from doing interviews at EDC as like the launch pad for the podcast, getting artists on the show. And I'm sure you guys can both relate to this. In year one of building anything and of building a podcast, you're kind of testing to see what works. And I got some advice on like what the like niche of the show should be, and it was against what I thought was best. I was told to do stuff that was more serving towards the fans. And Emma, I had this conversation with you. I'm like, I don't go to as many shows anymore. I'm like, I still love this music, but like I don't really connect with fans because I'm not there anymore. And I felt like talking about business and branding strategies just felt so natural to me, because I have no formal business background. I have a journalism degree, and somehow I built like a decently successful business. And so if I can figure it out, I can certainly talk about these things in layman's terms to help other creatives figure their shit out. And so halfway through year one of the podcast, I decided to follow my gut and kind of pivot my line of questioning, how I was promoting the content online, to really just double down. And simultaneously, while that was happening, I was realizing the people listening to my show were DJs. Like there were no like fans listening. It was all DJs. Yeah. And so I'm like, all right, this is what I was meant to do. And so I made a little pivot, and it was like very intentional, very slow. I didn't like decide to like change up the name but I was like, this is comfortable for me. And so I'm still you're constantly testing and seeing what works, right? Like algorithms are changing, interests are changing, but I know at the core of me, my mission is to demystify what can be these very scary processes for artists who are like, all I want to focus on is my music. I don't care about taxes, or I don't even want to know. It's too stressful. And it's like, no, let me help you figure it out so that you have that shit on lock, and then you can focus on your artistry. And so that's where I feel like I can best serve people. And that's what I've been doing.
Fuck yes. I love, because you are so, like, you have so much clarity now, and I know you're still figuring it out, but it's so cool because I remember the conversation of like trying to figure out your niche. And what I love about everybody here, and even the other podcasters, like, people really have figured out their audience and their niche. And like, yes, they're all podcasts in the dance music festival space, but we're all talking to different people and have different focuses. And I love that. And I'm so glad you made that pivot, because like, and I'm not a DJ, but I listen, I get so much information out of it. So I love that you know your audience now, you pivoted, and you have that clarity, which is now leading into a new venture for both of you. But I'm curious for both of you, you wear a lot of hats. I feel the same. I need to know your human design after this, because I'm very curious what you are. But yeah, I'm just curious like any mental hurdles you went through, because obviously it sounds like a seamless process to get here, but freelancing and carving your own path and doing these things, like there can be a lot of like fear or imposter syndrome, or like literally figuring it that fuck out on your own. How did you work through that? Like, what came up for you guys when you were figuring out this path, and like how did you just like do it anyway and just continue to pursue it anyway?
Sure. I think we need to talk about that word that we've been using constantly, which is pioneering.
Yeah.
When you're pioneering something, when you're creating something in uncharted territory, it's really scary because you have no evidence to go off of that this works. Like both of you are evidence to me that being content creators in dance music works. But like you said, we're all kind of doing different things, and there's not that many of us out there. There's not that many dance music content creators out there compared to other genres. And so being a pioneer is really scary. And it's like such cliche advice, but you just have to trust the process and celebrate when you do have those wins and relish in them, because it's proof that it's working. And patience, developing patience. I am the least patient person on earth, but doing this has taught me an immense amount of patience. And it's just like for me, it's just going back to basics. It really is. I journal a lot. I bitch and complain to Sherm a lot.
I was going to say, you have no idea how patient she is sometimes, because her fuse is kind of short sometimes for the right reasons. But yeah, that's a very good point. Like, you need to understand patience, not only for others, but for yourself. Like, it's just not going to happen as quickly as you want it to. And if it does, I think it's for the wrong reasons. Then it's going to be a really short time in that space. Like, you talked about wearing all these hats, Emma. Like, we definitely do. But I firmly believe in the theory of trying anything once. And that can be in music in so many different ways, right? Like, throwing events. I've done lots of different types of events. I'm doing a new event with Olivia, right? So we're trying this. We believe in this. It's going to be more than try. Like, it's going down. It's going to be amazing. I've tried to be different types of producers. I've tried to be a different type of DJ. I've tried to do this and do that. And it goes back to trying to make mistakes to learn from them. And with the podcast, I've heard about a lot of people's mistakes. So I've been able to save that time for myself if it connects with me. So it's like, try a lot of things, try and make a lot of different types of content, and you have to put it out there. You have to. Even if it makes you feel weird or you're embarrassed, you are actually doing more than 99% of people are willing to do, which is put themselves out there. And that's the scariest thing. So it's like, you can also delete things if you want. I think people don't understand that. Like, it's okay to like try something and be like, okay, that didn't work, but I do need to learn from that because I took the chance. I put it out there. So I think you just got to go for it. And like Olivia said, I think patience is a really important like word to remember.
He takes the brunt of like my angry rants sometimes. I mean, so I give him a lot of credit. Yeah. I was texting him a lot when he was in Italy, like F this, F that. But like, you have to have.
I was drinking wine like this. Like, go on.
Yeah, I know. With your do not disturb on.
I'm on the side of a mountain.
Subtle flex.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
So, and like he was saying, like, I used to be someone who was very risk adverse, and now I'm so excited to take risks because I know that even if something is like a failure on paper, I learned something and I can apply that to my next venture. And so I heard this, I forget the exact phrase, but like I used to just rent a desk at like this tech incubator because it was by my house and I needed a quiet place to work. And they say in the tech world, like move fast and break shit. And it basically just means like, go after it, like figure out, like, you know, take it apart, put it back together, like, and then move on to the next thing. And don't get stuck if something doesn't work, you know, like obviously, you know, like if maybe you have to retest them or whatever, but like don't get hung up on things that don't work. And so I like even going into, you know, I've never like said this publicly before, but even going into the Insomniac gig, I was like, there's a chance they might not call me again after this, and that's fine, and I'm not going to be mad about it. You know, there's a chance ARC may never call me again. That's just the reality of it. And that's why it's so important to build something for yourself, because no one can take away Rave Culture Cast. No one can take away Elevated Frequencies. No one can take away Sherm in the booth.
Oh
So
my God. I love that shit, Olivia. And I've been thinking about this so much and I've been saying it out loud to people. I'd rather build my own story than be part of someone else's, because my story is my story. And that's what inspires others, is you, who you are, and the story you're telling. Because, like, as cliche as it is to say, and everybody always says that this is the most cliche thing, but it is true. It is about the journey and the people you meet along the way, because the destination is never guaranteed. And I just feel so like confident in the story I'm trying to tell, and the obstacles that I face in the music industry, like just on the DJ producer world. It's insane. You can't get signed to labels. You can't get gigs. You're comparing yourself to this person. You think that you deserve that spot, and maybe you don't, right? Why doesn't that person like me? Like, do they not like me? Why can't I get this gig, right? Like, you just run in circles in your head, and you're going freaking crazy. So stop all that stuff and focus on what really matters, which is the story you're trying to tell, and the people that are listening or watching or hearing that story, and learn from them and focus on them and grow with them. These are your fans. For sure. This is what it's all about. Like, making an impact on one person is the most special thing that you can do, right? Like, I'm not a mother, but I am a father of a dog. I know Olivia is the father of two dogs.
I'm a mother of a dog.
So I can barely relate, but I know that, like, it makes sense, right? Like, you have a girl, right, Emma?
No, boy.
Little boy.
Boy, sorry.
You're good.
Your gender's all backwards right now.
Oh, God. All right.
You're good. Keep going. Keep going.
Like, I'm a son, right? Okay. My mom is my fucking world. Like, she's my rock star, right? Yeah. She's my idol, all that shit, right? So, like, I'm not trying to say, like, who's your mom or who's your dad necessarily, but, like, they believe in you. You love them. There's this connection, and you can foster those sort of connections with people that you've never met. And I think that's fucking nuts that we can do that in this day and age, that you can build these connections with people around the world, and you can do it through music. So, like, all that's to say is you just got to put yourself out there and know that your story is yours to tell. And it's really easy to say, I want to hop on that storyline because it seems sick. You don't know where that storyline's going. There's no guarantee on that if you can even join. So it's like, let's build our own.
Love that. Yeah. You guys are getting me so I'm like, either I'm gonna cry right now or I'm so hype right now because I needed you guys said a lot of things I'm a little emotional right now, but no, you said a couple things that really I like needed to hear. Olivia, one thing just about like breaking shit and moving on quickly, because I had something this year too that like I tried out, and honestly like it really just didn't work out how I thought, and I was like, this feels like a failure, but I very quickly was like, just not the right thing. We just got to move past it, and be like, it's better to wrap it up now than to like keep forcing this on. So I agree with that. And I think like not coming from a scarcity mindset, because I haven't talked about this either, but same thing with the Insomniac opportunity was like highlight of my life. And then I was pregnant and they asked me to come back, and I couldn't go because I was pregnant. And then I was on maternity leave, and I had this thought in the back of my head of like, they're going to forget about you. You blew your opportunity by saying no. Meanwhile, I'm pregnant. Like, obviously it's not going to happen. And then I came back and I went this year, but I had that in the back of my head. I was like, you just need to believe if it's meant for you, it will come back around, or another opportunity will come around. You know, you sometimes just have to say no to things and not come from a place of like scarcity. So that's something to keep in mind for everyone as well. Yes.
The scarcity mindset is unfortunately so rampant because people do feel like there's a limited amount of opportunities in the music world, whether you're an artist and you feel like, oh, there's only 4 house music clubs in Chicago and like these, opening and direct support spots are limited, or, just the competition that people create in their minds. It's so easy to go to that toxic space. And what you have to understand is like there's only one of you. You bring something unique to each opportunity, and if they don't call you back, it's because that it wasn't meant for you. Something wasn't. I truly believe that like the universe blocks things from me when it's not supposed to happen. And that's like what helps me just stay calm. I used to have, like, we were talking about weddings and getting married. I developed this irrational fear right before I got married. It'll be my 5-year anniversary in November. That I was gonna like break a limb somehow, which I'm like, I don't play sports. Like, I don't like get myself, I don't even ride roller coasters. Like, how would I break a limb before my wedding? But I was like freaking out. I was like, oh my God. So now it's like, I have changed. And I was thinking leading up to ARC, like, you get those creeping thoughts, like, what if I get a cough? What if I get pink eye? Like all these things. But literally, I've trained myself to believe if that happened, that was the universe protecting you from something bad that was going to happen. And so like being able to cultivate that mindset is huge, because like you can just really, I don't know, it just develops a better trust in yourself, and knowing that, if not this, something bigger or better.
Wait, 100%. Well, if what about like if a bug flies into your eye the Thursday before North Coast out on the lake and you have an allergic reaction and you play Saturday?
Did that happen?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Right now.
Oh no. That's actually fucking crazy.
It was
you
so
poor thing.
bad. It was like so bad. And it's actually happened before, because out on Lake Michigan in the summer, there's all these bugs, and I'm totally diverting conversation, but it is a funny
You're
story.
good. No.
Like there's all these bugs and we're DJing out there. It's me and like it's literally the boys. Like we're literally jumping off into the boat, like singing songs, DJing. It was just so funny. And then I was the captain, so I was driving the boat. And then I finally was like, all right, cool. Let me DJ for a little bit. And I look at the mixer, and all these gnats like fly up in my eye. And I wake up the next morning like this.
Wait,
oh my God. You poor thing. I'm not laughing.
And I'm like,
holy shit.
I'm like, okay, like, how can I make this work? And I've never been more thankful to be a DJ, because you can wear sunglasses inside and it's totally cool.
Oh my God.
You just unlocked a fear for Olivia.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And you know what's even funnier? I literally bought scientific goggles to wear on the boat so that nothing flies in my fucking eyes again. Like, I'm literally going to be out there like...
See, you learned a lesson.
I learned a lesson, yeah. So there's maybe two sides to that coin, Olivia. But I was challenged, and I overcame that challenge. We can tell that. Yeah.
Love that. Oh my God. Yeah. See, perseverance, and things are going to come up, but yeah, you do them anyway. That's actually crazy, guys. I have to mark that as a clip, but, okay. We need to get into Chicago Music Nexus, but we're kind of like on the topic of like scarcity mindset and things like that. You guys are obviously dealing with a lot of people. You're interviewing so many people. So before we get there, I'm kind of curious what you're hearing from people like in the industry, whether it's like artists or just people like in the music industry, any common threads right now or pain points that you've been hearing reoccurring that kind of led you to create this conference this fall?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that Olivia and I are hearing, and it's from artists, and it's two-sided, right? I think it's never been harder to be successful because so many people entered the industry. And I think that everything comes in waves. Everything comes in cycles. So there's a lot of DJs that left during COVID. There's a lot of DJs that entered during COVID. And we're seeing a lot of different trends that are happening in dance music, particularly in house music, particularly in cities like Chicago, right? So it's very, very, very competitive with a limited amount of opportunity. A lot of venues closed down. A lot of companies were purchased, right? So good contacts, relationships, things like that disappear. People are displaced. We all know that, right? But on the other side, I look at a glass half full, because you have to. We have so many tools that are free that are in front of us, and more people to collaborate with to create unique ideas and originality, right? So like social media is, it is what it is. Like you have to believe in it. You have to play the game. So I think it's challenging because you do have to find a way to put yourself out there. I think the scale is tipped so much from having really good music and having a pretty good brand to having really good music and a really good brand. Like you have to have both, because if it's 70-30 or 80-20 brand music, and that's what I believe it is these days, in the Midwest, we do grades like a B minus to a B plus is 80 to 89%, right? So like if you're hitting 89%, that's great. That's good. Like you're a pretty good student, but that's not the A team, right? A team is what gets looked at. A minus, you get looks, A's, but you got to be A plus. And if you can't get there, then you need to find people that can help you get to that score. So that's why, like, I think collaboration has never been more important. And that's like the essence, like at its core of what Olivia and I are doing. I think many people could, from the outside perspective, if they didn't know us, could see Olivia and I maybe as competitors, right? Like I would like what Olivia did at ARC is like unbelievable. I'm so proud of her. I think it's incredible, right? Like I've done similar things, you too, Emma, right? And I believe that like she's better for that job, right? And Olivia knows that like there are some things that like I can do. Like we're gonna do these hilarious man on the street interviews, right? Like that's just more my way. But I'm gonna make her do it though too. But like I think you got to come together with people from different experience levels and different backgrounds too, because you need to be constantly learning. And I think that's what needs to happen. I think people are a little afraid to do that still because they do view it as a competition. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to disrupt. We're trying to shake things up. And I think that's what Chicago Music Nexus is all about, is being like, hey, we're actually all on the same team. Did you know that? Or are you actually still playing against your own teammate here?
Yeah. That's huge. And the one thing I want to add, I know we can get into the context of what Nexus actually is, but one thing that I'm very introverted despite, being on camera all the time. Like I'm more introverted when I go out. And so I'm an observer. And one thing that I have observed just from, my friends who are DJs trying to break into the scene and just the way people have conversations, this industry is all about who deals in the green room, those warm intros. And it is very, very difficult as a person who may be a super talented producer to actually get their music in the hands of the people who can make shit happen for them. And the dance floor is not the right place to network, right? Like it's the place where deals happen if you already have good relationships and you're like, it's all just kind of like natural and part of it. But if you're new and you're trying to break into the scene, you basically have to go to gig after gig after gig and support and do this and do that. And like, which I think is all important. Like, don't get me wrong, but there's no environment to be able to learn in a place where like that is the sole purpose, where you're not going to annoy somebody with your question or trying to introduce yourself. Like we don't have an appropriate place. And Sherm had this amazing experience moderating a panel at Amsterdam Dance Event. I know EDC had something back in like the early 2000s. They had like a conference, and then Winter Music Conference hasn't been a thing for a couple years since COVID. And so like Sherm and I realized there's literally nowhere like there's like this stuff isn't happening. Like there's pop-up events and they do great. Like I know Femhouse does some amazing panels and stuff, but there's no like, cumulative effort right now to offer those opportunities and learning experiences all in one room. And so we talk about pioneering. I mean, I would not like, I'm not afraid to say like Sherman and I at some points have been scared shitless to do this. We have time and money invested in this, but we believe in it so much.
We can do this for 9 months now. Can you believe that? We've been planning this for 9 months.
That's crazy. Yeah. That's what it takes. That's crazy though. I'm so excited to hear everything about it, but it's so needed right now. And I could not agree with you more. Yeah. Cause other than maybe people actually going to like classes or school in person, it is very much needed. And even just as an example, I haven't gone out a lot recently. I pick and choose my shows, but I went out on Friday and bumped into a bunch of people that I had known. And I still get that energy sometimes of like, it still does feel like a cool kids club. Like everybody there still feels like they're trying to emit this cool, like I'm the shit energy. And so I'm so big of like being approachable and friendly and like not being afraid to go up to people. But like it just had been a while since I had interacted in that space. And I was like, oh yeah, it does still feel like this. So I couldn't agree more that like sometimes people just don't feel approachable unless you already know people. And it's like
it's icky.
when you apply to jobs and they say like you need 5 years experience and you're like, I'm just trying to get my first job. Like, how do you get the experience? So what you guys are doing is helping connect those dots in like a really approachable space, which is awesome. So can you tell us about what this is? Go ahead.
Yeah. And I just want to add something to that really quick, Emma. I can't tell you how many times that I have had, unfortunately, bad experiences with like that cool kid club where like people who I had met before, and like obviously it takes time to remember, like you have to meet someone a couple times, but people I've met before then just like for whatever reason decided to be an asshole to me like that day. Like I'm talking like some artists, like some well-known artists, and it makes you feel just, it literally put me in my shell to the point where I'm like, I'm too afraid to go back out. Like I don't want to do this. And so and it's a very small, like yes, there's a cool kids club, but I think the majority of people out there are good and want to help others. But so like we're trying to break down those walls. And so what Chicago Music Nexus is a 8-hour intensive. Is it 8 or 9? It's like 8-hour intensive of essentially, I'll give you the quick agenda. We've got 2 panels, which we love to talk about what the panels are. 2 panels, 1 hour of networking, open bar. We've got like a nice little grazing table, and then 2 more panels, and then 2 hours of networking, dancing, fun. We're getting it catered. Again, open bar. I can't say that enough. Open bar, because I feel like for that alone, like the ticket is worth it. And and so just some really fun activations and experiences. And when Sherm and I were brainstorming what these panels should be, we decided that like, yes, there's so many topics we want to cover, but because this is a 1-day thing, what are the most important things that people coming need to know to take their career to the next level, like tomorrow? Like what tools can we give them that they can implement immediately? And so that's how we develop the panels. We have one on building out your dream team. So like, when's the right time to bring on PR, an artist manager? Like, how do you work with a label? And then a second panel is about monetizing your brand. So beyond gigs and getting tracks signed, what else can you do? Whether it's merchandise, sync licensing, what are the other revenue opportunities out there? And then we have a 2-parter panel called Adapt or Die with some Chicago heavy hitters like OGs, amazing artists that work with the Grammys, the Recording Academy, and that's all about like how to cultivate resilience, a lot of the things we were just talking about, and then how to innovate your brand. Like, how do you know, like, I know you had a great interview with Barclay Crenshaw too. Like, when did he decide I'm no longer Claude Von Stroke, I'm going back to Barclay? So like stuff like that. And in addition to that, we're inviting a lot of industry folks to come to the networking sessions and basically planting them so that the people who are paying for tickets like get direct access to these people, and they can feel empowered to go talk to them because they know they all want to be there.
Incredible. Yeah, the panels are insane, you guys. Talk a little bit about if you want to expand upon that, some of the guests you're having, because I was looking at it yesterday and I was like, holy shit, this is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, what Olivia and I have almost like, I would say almost obsessed over is making sure that people, like she said, are going to literally walk out with connections, relationships, information on how to further their brand. A lot of this is stemmed from, like Olivia said, my experience at Amsterdam Dance Event. I went the past 2 years. And in 2022 was my first time going. And I was pushed to go there actually by my cousin, who's actually on one of the panels about building your dream team. He's the VP of Business Development at Feature FM, which is the largest independent music marketing platform. He is the manager of many different types of artists, has been in the industry for a long time, thrown events, all this stuff. He goes, if you are an artist or a DJ or running a record label or serious about anything, you need to go to Amsterdam Dance Event and meet people. And I was like, I can't go to Amsterdam. It costs all this money. He goes, do you care about your brand? Are you serious about this? Like, he challenged me on it. And I was like, yeah, I care. And he was like, go, let's see it. And I'm texting him after 3 hours into day one. I go, I just watched this interview with Diplo one-on-one. He was talking about his brand. I got to stand up and ask him a question about what he would do in my position. The next day, I go to how to monetize your brand, how to build a label with Mark Knight talking about Tool Room Records, right? And I get to stand up and ask Mark Knight a question. Hardwell comes in talking about his experience after leaving the music industry and coming back. I get to say, you know, I ask questions, obviously. I stand up and go, "Hi, Hardwell."
I just got
What's
chills.
up?
Like,
Yeah.
that's crazy. That's crazy
Yeah.
that you got to do that. Like, that's
And
literally mind blowing.
I couldn't believe it, right? I'm like, these people are accessible to me. It's not like I'm just going to some big TED Talks, Tony Robbins type thing. You know what I mean? Like, these people are accessible. They want to like answer my questions. They want to talk. And Europeans are like, they're so funny. Like, you walk around with your like name tag on, and they just go up to, they go, "Matt Sherman, Hood Politics Records, Chicago, Illinois. I'm so and so. Let's help each other." I'm like, "Fuck yeah, let's help each other." Like, that's awesome. So like, Olivia and I are like, what I really want people to know about Chicago Music Nexus, which is so much different than what we were just talking about, is the accessibility and the knowledge that we're just giving to you for a pretty damn good price, if you ask me.
And it's important to say all the panelists like believe in that mission too. So you have, because I know you're asking about the panelists, Terry Hunter, Chicago legend. You know, he produced "You Won't Break My Soul" by Beyonce. He's worked with Jennifer Hudson, but he's, you know, an OG like Chicago house music producer. Same thing with DJ Lady D. She's been integral in putting all of these events out this summer to celebrate the 40 years of house music history in Chicago. Danny Deal, who's a freaking legend, who also works with the Grammys. And then you have, you know, Seamus and Abigail of Hot Pretty, who are artists that have put on an event series called Manifest Raves in Chicago. Seamus is the creative director for Oris, who put on ARC. So that's insane. I got to watch him work. All I did when I was at ARC was just watch these people do their thing, and I was blown away. I love, like I said, I'm an observer. I love just watching people work. And so you've got them. You've got Abby from House Calls, which is an amazing event group here in Chicago. They put on different day parties, and like I think they just posted that they're doing something at a helicopter pad like in a couple weeks.
Yeah, they've been doing events for 3 years. I think this is the 3 anniversary. They've really like innovated the Chicago house music scene with like a younger generation. Like,
and then we have, just because I want to make sure we hit everybody, we have Sherm's cousin, who's the VP of Business Development at Feature FM. We have a financial advisor, because it's super important to talk about money. Like, it's something that people avoid and wait until they've already got some success and then they don't know what to do with their money. So we have Kristen Woolham of Morgan Stanley. We have Franz Hilberath, who is the dopest. He's amazing, of MP3 PR. I mean, he's doing PR with Shaq. Like, you get to talk to the guy who does PR for
he's standing right there. He's standing right there. He's
the coolest. Like, anybody can talk to him. He's so awesome.
Yeah.
And then we have some cool some panelists that are like not directly involved in the dance music industry, but that was important to us too, because they provide an outsider's perspective. So my friend Anj, who runs Rivet app, which is a platform to help you automate like your social media and basically monetize your fan base.
Smart.
And then we have Celia Rose from What Up Pitches, which is a sync licensing agency. And then we have Mike Salvione, a good friend of mine who like runs the Ibiza circuit. He's out of Staten Island, but he like basically tours around Ibiza and Europe like all summer. He has a radio station with over 1 million monthly listeners on Sirius called Elevated Radio, and then the Elevated Academy, where he teaches courses to artists on how to do all these things we're talking about. So like, even just like running through these as I'm like,
crazy. Yeah.
Sometimes we forget. Yeah, we forget what we're doing, and we're just so caught up.
Yeah, you get caught up in the minutia of, we really want this to be so perfect, and I just forgot that like we don't even really need to do anything, because the talent we have on the panels like is going to do it all
alone.
For us. Yeah.
The really value you guys are about to provide for people is absolutely great. It's just, if you've never done something like this before as well, like attended something like this, like it's honestly been, I've done some things through Beatbox, which has been awesome. But I remember, I feel like in my 20s that work would send us to conferences, and I always walked away from them feeling so freaking grateful that I did them, because the speakers alone would just always touch me in some way, or just say something that genuinely like impacted how I worked and saw myself. So that alone is just going to be so valuable to people. That I'm even just talking about Chicago for a second. I know this is all happening in Chicago and you have some absolute legends, but the place that Chicago is in dance music is so important. So can you speak to that a little bit? Like, why Chicago? And then if anybody is not from the area, why they should be flying in for this event, because it's that impactful to carry back home with them.
And I have three of my Patreon students are coming from California, Denver, and Philly.
Let's go.
So,
love it.
Yes, people are flying in. I'll just say that, you know, as this genre gains popularity with younger generations, like I love it. Like it's so exciting to see house music infiltrate you know, college campuses more than they ever did. And it's important. What we wanted to do, and this goes back to like figuring out what our panels should be. Like, yes, we wanted to do a panel on the history of house music, but at the same time, that wasn't going to really provide that like tangible advice for artists. So instead, we integrated it naturally. We're like, well, we are going to reach out to the people who laid the foundation for us, for it to even be possible for us to do this work, to be part of it. Like we want people to learn directly from them because they're the ones putting in the work, and they've been putting in the work for decades. And so people need to understand the importance of the roots of this music. But I think it's a much more effective way to teach people, kind of like in this covert, it's almost like a covert operation. Like you're going to sit and learn from the people who have been doing this. We don't need to like shove it in your face, because like it's just naturally you're going to hear it from the horse's mouth.
For sure. That's so cool.
I love that.
What
I
are you
think
most
Chicago means so much to me, Emma. I love that question. And you know, I grew up in Indianapolis, came to Chicago over the years, of course. But when you come here and integrate yourself in a scene that is so special, has so much history, you know, I'm just 4 blocks away from the Warehouse, which is where Chicago house music came from, the term house music, right? Where Frankie Knuckles built his name. It's literally, there's a sign that says Frankie Knuckles Way. And like just it being in my presence, right? Like it's actually a law office. I'll just walk by, I'll just touch the brick like a fucking weirdo. And I'm like, it's like always, every time somebody comes, I'm just like, that's where Chicago house music came from, right? But it took me a while to get to that point and understand it. And that's what we're really trying to do with Chicago Music Nexus is like, we want, yes, of course, Chicago people to come and experience it. You know, it's a hometown thing for them, a home game, so to speak. But we're doing it in a really cool part of Chicago that's like has history, right? Like it's in the West Loop of Chicago, in a really cool space called Loft Lucia. And it, you know, we keep talking about weddings, like it's like a dope ass wedding venue. It's 2 floors. There's an outdoor patio. There's a downstairs where the panels are going to be. The upstairs has lots of room for cocktail hour and networking. So like the space is really cool.
Open
like you'll
bar.
feel like you're
Open bar.
Reiterate, open bar.
Yeah. Open bar. And like, just like energy is so important to us, vibes, all that sort of stuff, right? So just like having the Chicago experience was really important to us. The history, of course, speaks for itself. But, you know, the term Chicago Music Nexus, right? Like we didn't want it to be a replica of anything. Obviously, Amsterdam dance event, it speaks for itself, right? But Chicago Music Nexus, right? Chicago music. That, of course, speaks to the history of this music that we all celebrate and love. So we wanted to pay homage to where it came from, right? But Nexus, the definition is all these different groups and people coming together in one room to connect and collaborate, right? So they go hand in hand because Chicago house music was founded upon the belief of letting anyone be themselves, right? It started for LGBTQ people, especially the gay Black community, to come together without having to worry about a thing and just dance and be together, right? So we want to make sure that like it's an inclusive event. Anyone's welcome from all over the world. We want to build something here. And Olivia and I are people that think long-term. And we wouldn't have just done this for a one-off event. We wouldn't have planned something for 9 months and invested our time and our money and our blood and our sweat and our tears. Any sort of like anything you can give towards something we have given and we are going to give. And I said to her earlier, like, I believe that we were like given this mission to like do this for Chicago, for the dance music community, for DJs, for producers, for music business professionals, for creators, for whoever is serious about their brand or says they're serious. That's the one thing I really want to drill. Like I told you the story about my cousin. He said, are you serious? Are you willing to invest? It took someone pushing me to do that. And I've never been more grateful. And that's why we're doing this. So it's like, it all comes back together. And it's just, I'm making myself get chills talking about it, because
Seriously,
we talk about it in lots of different ways. And I mean, we're literally out in the streets, like literally telling people about this. Like, we're slapping stickers on things. We're going around
grassroots.
like it's grassroots.
100%.
Like, we're literally out here hustling like it's the Chicago house music days, right?
Yep.
I've
Love
never
it.
been more passionate about event, because I'm not just telling people to come to my party and see me DJ, right? I'm inviting people to like talk about their journey and experience it and meet each other. And I get excited thinking about the energy in the room that day.
And he kind of touched on it. We do have a long-term vision for this. We do want this to be a multi-day event with breakout sessions and workshops, so that we can expand the topics we cover to to interest people like you, Emma, and us, if we were our own patrons of this event. What about content creators in the scene? What about people who want to be behind the scenes? So we have a long-term vision, and we're in this for the long haul. When I interviewed LP Joby at ARC, I asked her, I said, most people wait until they kind of sunset their career to like give back and like to do something else. But you're simultaneously creating FemHouse and doing FemHouse as you are touring the world. So why did you decide to do that? And she said, people told me not to. She said, people said, wait till you're a little more established in your DJ career to like start this nonprofit. But she's like, I didn't feel good. She said, I know that, she said, I recognize that I see DJing as kind of like this self-serving thing, and it makes me feel good and it fuels me to be able to give back in this way. And I'm glad I didn't listen to those people, because, I can do both. And that really, like, I took that to heart, because only having this podcast for a year and still figuring out my way, like, yeah, it was a little scary deciding like we're going to go all in on an event. And I've had people tell me like, oh, that was like a big, like, are you sure you want to do that? I'm like, well, it's too late now because the venue's paid for and it's not refundable.
We're getting married, honey. Yeah, it's going down. Yeah.
We're marrying Nexus, literally. So, like, we're all in. And I'm glad, because that's like we keep saying this, that's what you need to do. Like, you have to make an investment in yourself, whether it's money, whether it's spending your time somewhere where you don't know. Like, I used to be adverse. Like, this is a fun fact about me. I used to be adverse to networking events as, an introverted person, because I was like, oh, well, what if it's like a bust, or like I'm too shy to walk up to somebody and I just wasted my time and I could have been at home with my dogs. And I realized that I had to take those risks to, like, you'll never know unless you go. And so, that's what we're doing with building Nexus. And that's what we want to inspire other people to do. Because it's really, at the end of the day, you can't lose by going. You're going to get something out of it, even if it's just the open bar. Even if you don't learn anything from our panelists, even if you don't talk to one person. Sherm's got a great collaboration with Siege Distillery.
Are they aware of what's at the open bar, Olivia? Because we're drinking Malort.
It's not just Malort. It's not just Malort. Emma, have you had Malort yet?
No, for the love of God, no. I don't think I could do it.
I'm sure
I can't help you, Emma.
When Sherman you meet in real life, he will make you take a shot of Malort.
Great. I literally just watched a TikTok about it yesterday. That's so funny that you said that, but yeah. You guys are hyping me up about all this.
Well,
you should come.
Yes, guest list. I mean, we our guest list is limited, but you would have a spot reserved forever.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, we would love to have you. But yes, there will be other options than just Malort. We have that is not, and we also have mocktails, because I think I'm a mocktail girl. Like, yes, I do like to have the occasional cocktail, but it was important to me to have options. And so, in addition to CH Distillery, we partnered with a really awesome, like, this was also a big thing, is like having our sponsors be hyper local. I mean, not saying that like if Pioneer wanted to like shoot us some bucks, we would not say no, but like all of our sponsors are local. We have, our premier sponsor right now is a local bank that really believes in empowering entrepreneurs, which is super dope. CH Distillery is a local distillery. And then System Seltzers, Anthony Spina, he's a really cool Chicago entrepreneur. He used to work for White Claw, and he has created his own brand called System Seltzers, where you get a 6-pack and half of them have alcohol and half of them don't. But the cans look the same, except for, on there it'll say what the ABV is. But the whole, like, he calls it an inclusive drinking system. So no one can really tell if you're drinking a mocktail or not.
Nice.
So it helps kind
That's
of
awesome.
like destigmatize the mocktail game. And so we've partnered with him. Who else? I mean, all of our sponsors are local, which is just makes us feel really
Love
good,
that.
because like they're invested in this mission, and that's what we wanted. We wanted partners like who could. It's not easy asking for money on an event that's not happened yet,
Right.
So,
definitely. Dude, I'm so happy you guys are here, and I just wanted to like speak to the audience really quickly, because I think when I saw you both announce this, which I know how big of a risk it was and how much like blood, sweat, and tears goes into this. And so when I saw announce one, I was like, that's such a fucking cool idea. I just thought it was such a great next step for both of you, but also like knowing how needed that is and how well that fit into both of your brands. I was like, this is fucking genius. I like absolutely love that you guys are doing this. So speaking to anybody listening, I couldn't agree more. Like, you're going to walk out of it with value. Like, those panelists alone are incredible. The relationships and friendships you're going to make are going to be incredible. And I just have gotten so much value. And I feel like I've always leveled up in my career when I've invested in some sort of education. It's just always been a direct result of that. So I just wanted you guys here to just hype you guys up and talk about this event, because I just know how much hard work that is. And I'm so freaking excited for what you've built. I'm very excited to hear this is going to be like a long-term idea, because I can just see this going in so many different directions. So I can't wait to see how it all goes. So shoot so much content. I want to see all the content from it.
We're recording everything.
I love it. I love it. Where else can people get involved with you too? If they aren't able to make it out to Chicago Music Nexus, like plug the podcast, plug any other resources that you have for people who want to just get involved with you.
Yeah. And just before I forget, the code podcast does get you $30 off your ticket. So we are not putting that on social. I mean, you can, Emma, but we've been we've been saving it exclusively for podcast listeners. But, we want this to be accessible to people. So $30 off with the code podcast. And where you can find me, Elevated Frequencies podcast, on all the same platforms, YouTube and all that good stuff. And then I also have a Patreon where I help artists one-on-one, and there's lots of different tiers for, whatever level of support you need. And, definitely made it financially accessible for people who just are like kind of just dipping their toes in. So that's where like all the extras from my podcast goes, business and branding advice. And I'm just like, if you just DM me with a question, like I'm always down to help, like this is what I do. And it always comes back around. I'm a big believer in that. So any artist, especially artists, but anybody who's trying to embark on like a creative career, I'm here to help. My name is just my name on Instagram, Olivia Mancuso.
Beautiful.
Love that.
Sherm, what about you?
That was good.
She's a professional.
She's really cleaned me up, honestly.
I love it.
I get to the point now. But yeah, at Sherm in the Booth on all social media. If I didn't explain it already, but I have so many different things I'm doing in the music industry: DJ, producer, podcast host. Also want to mention the label that I'm A&R and label manager for, Hood Politics Records. Our big thing is, it's actually short for neighborhood politics, right? And it's actually defying that there should be politics in anything, because we all live on the same street, and it doesn't matter how big or small your house is, we're all in the same neighborhood. So that's like another point that we're trying to make with Chicago Music Nexus. It's for everybody, all skill levels, all experience levels. And I'm a big believer in helping others as well. It's really why we're doing this. So my DMs are open too. But yeah, I can't believe 8 years of Sherm in the Booth. Excited about that. Actually, the episode I'm going to release is going to be my episode with Olivia, where we talk about Chicago Music Nexus. So
love that.
Really about that. And yeah, it's an exciting time to be an artist, to be an influencer, to be a musician, whatever, in dance music. I think the world is our oyster as long as you surround yourself with the right people. So that's that, baby.
Absolutely. And thank you again, Emma, for everything you do. Like, really just seeing you on my feed like makes me so happy.
Same.
You're like the
I'm
sweetest.
your biggest fan. I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Stop, guys.
You were the biggest fan, Mama. Come on now, Mom. Let's go.
I know.
Yeah. And now I need to get you on my show. We have to pencil that in. Now you have to be on my show and we can like complete this trifecta.
For sure. Yes. This is such a full circle moment. I could not be more excited for you guys. I cannot wait to hear how it goes. And just the growth I've seen in both of you has been amazing. And I just love what you guys are doing and putting out there in the world. I'm going to link all their information down below, guys. Chicago Music Nexus. All of that will be linked down below. If you want any more information, if you want to buy tickets, please go and support. Give them a follow. We are at Rave Culture Cast on all of the platforms. Come hang out with us. We have a Discord community and Facebook group as well. And if you guys love this episode, please share it, rate, review, subscribe, all the things. And I will see you next Wednesday with a new episode. Bye, guys.